On Saturday, April 9th, Adelphi University honors 1971 graduate and Board of Trustees Chairman Thomas F. Motamed with a naming ceremony. Mr. Motamed is a former captain and most valuable player for the Panthers under the tutelage of Paul Doherty, who stalked the Adelphi sidelines for 22 years as head coach. It is now my pleasure to welcome in two men who have had a hand in not only building Adelphi's great lacrosse tradition, but in building Adelphi. Paul Doherty and Thomas F. Motamed.
Well, first of all, it's quite an honor to have the field named after you, and Adelphi has a big spot in my heart, and particularly Adelphi lacrosse. I have so many great memories, and I'm glad to be here with Paul Doherty, Doc, who was my head coach for my senior and junior years, and Lou Flago, who was my coach my sophomore year, and Stan Shea, my good friend and co-player. But Adelphi lacrosse, at least back then, was a close-knit group. We were all really good friends on and off the field. We covered everybody's back, as they said. And nobody was out to be a star. We all really worked together as a team. It was just a great experience. Really not only meant a lot to me, but learned a lot of things here at Adelphi as part of lacrosse teams that I've carried through life. So discipline, hard work, teamwork, all of those things have bode well for me. So I'm just delighted to be with Paul today. He taught me a lot about the game. When I left, I was fortunate to coach at two prep schools in Pennsylvania, and also played for the Philadelphia Lacrosse Club. So not only did I enjoy playing, but I learned a lot from Paul. So it was a good run. What I remember very much about Adelphi lacrosse was, as the teams were getting better, the schedule was getting harder. So we were dropping schools like City College and MIT in New Hampshire, and now it was, we were playing Brown and Harvard and Rutgers and Air Force Academy. And of course, back then, the Long Island schools were good too. But it got harder, but we were always prepared for it. We held our own to all winning records.
But Tom, you had an incredible year, your junior year, right? 1970 that was a great year for Adelphi lacrosse and a great year for you personally. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think we were coming off a bad year, and I think one of the things that Paul was really good at is he was always very positive with us. He was never positive with the referees, but he was very positive with us. So we saw that, he kind of was covering our back dealing with the refs. He was like the Coach K of lacrosse. But I think that season we were just out to prove something. We got a few more talented players. I guess we got a transfer or two, and we had some good freshmen come in, and the schedule got a little tougher, and I think we were kind of prepared at the beginning of the season. We started winning games and beating teams that maybe 2 or 3 years before we wouldn't have thought of beating. So I think it was just kind of momentum, and I have to say this, I remember it. Doc never got down on us. I mean, it was like always positive. He might have said, "Hey, that was a bonehead move," but everybody would kind of say, "Okay, that's fine." But it was always like, you guys can beat these guys. You're in every game, and that's what I remember most about that year. And then the following year, we had preseason scrimmages, and back then Nassau Community was a real powerhouse. They used to send people to all the top schools to finish their undergraduate degrees, and we played them, I guess, 3 or 4 days before our first game. We were going up to Brown, and we beat them. We beat them by about 4 or 5 goals. And the week before, we had played the Long Island Lacrosse Club. Stan was mentioning that. Alan Lowe and Jack Heim, and there was a guy who coached up in Suffolk, John Orlando. They had all All-Americans, all first-team All-Americans. I don't remember, we played in Hofstra at night under the lights. And I think we either beat them or it was 1 or 2 goals, but everybody kind of said, we can do this. I mean, here's little old Adelphi. We don't have, you know, a bunch of guys on scholarship. We don't have a big group, but we can play. So that's what I remember. I mean, it was just like, you never thought that you didn't have a chance. It was like, didn't matter the schedule, we could do this. So that was the most rewarding thing to me. I remember it was after you, I was a freshman, we went up to West Point. We get up there and everybody drove cars. We didn't have a bus or anything, we drove. So it was me, Dave Lawton, Mike Arena, Jimmy Demetrius. So we all drive up there, and Coach Leet was freshman coach. Said, okay, the game's at 2 o'clock, we're gonna have lunch in the big dining hall. And so we go into the dining hall. Now most of these guys were, you know, looking for scraps at a post hall. They didn't have meal tickets. Guys lived in Long Beach, all sorts of things. So we go up there and we're in a private room. And they come out with pot roast, mashed potatoes, biscuits, and Coach Lee goes, you can have salad. You're kidding, these guys were dying to eat this stuff. And they had coconut cakes and everything else, so he wouldn't let us eat. I remember the Dartmouth tennis team was next to us in the room. They were appalled by our behavior.
We were late for the game because we took a different road. He went one way and we were in the station way and went another way. We got there just before game time, so we missed the pre-meal. We got to eat afterwards, and we had a very good meal.
But it was the same thing, you know, they sent out legions of players. But we were ahead at halftime. We were ahead like 5-3, and then the guys who knew how to play, we were all exhausted. We couldn't do anything more. Then they sent in the battalions and ended up like 15-5 or something. And, then we had dinner, and it was very good.
In that time, Doc led the Brown and Gold to 2 national championships and helped guide Mr. Motamed to 4 strong years in goal. Mr. Motamed was an integral part of helping the Panthers go from 3-9 in 1969 to 8-6 in 1970, earning a national ranking of 29. In his years on the freshman team, Motamed posted 257 career saves. In his 3 years on varsity, he was named Most Valuable Player and Outstanding Defensive Player, winning the Katay Laughlin Award. His senior year earned him the coveted Motica Finkel Pogue Award for his gut and devotion to the team. Both awards are named after outstanding Panthers and remain part of Adelphi's rich lacrosse heritage. In their final year as coach and player, Doc and Motamed turned in a 9-5 season and led Adelphi to a national ranking of 15, beating CW Post, Rutgers, and Hofstra, among others.